Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stoppage Time Penalty Show with me, your host, Tabrice, the best grassroots centre back you will ever see. I might have to kind of change that, but hey, you know what? I'm literally going to run with it. But again, thank you to everyone that's tuning in. Thank you to all of the panelists. Let me kind of go from, I'd say, from the middle. Right. So in the middle, we have Nathan. Nathan is a referee in. Actually, you know, rather than me talking about what you do, can you literally just tell the audience what you do, Nathan? Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm an active referee in the semi-professional game and obviously in grassroots. And I also work with referees and sort of students and people who work in corporate business as well on mental toughness, resilience, mental health and well-being. And that's kind of my day job aside, obviously being an active referee, but work with referees all over the world as well, predominantly, as that's kind of my bread and butter of what I do at the 13.
Oh, amazing. And again, thank you for coming on. And again, just a quick one. Nathan's going to be the headliner for next week's show. So again, you know, we'll be delving into Nathan's journey next week. Zach Wood from United Agenda. How you doing, sir? Can you please tell everyone what is going on with you?
Yeah, you can shake your head all you want, these Liverpool fans, but I'm back. It's the Man United Agenda. You can find us. We're a YouTube channel. We're all about Man United and football in general, you know, and we've been doing it for over a year now, so we appreciate all the support. It's a pleasure to be back on the show. To football, I think you guys are doing a great job. It's great. Look at the variety. You've got a referee, you've got club management, you've got Black Klopp. You guys are doing, honestly, top job. I shared the show last time and got a really good feedback from a lot of people. They love it and they think what you're doing is very different and it sort of highlights all us guys going out there and playing football, even referees, you know. So I love the show and I'm glad to be back on here. I also do boxing. I cover boxing as well, and I still got it. Still think I'm the best centre back out there. So Tabrice, you better change that slogan, mate. But it's a pleasure, honestly. Pleasure to meet all you guys. Let's do this.
Great stuff. And then we have Lee, manager of Crayford Arrows. Can you tell the people out there exactly what Crayford Arrows mean to you? And let me know.
Very briefly. Yeah, we Vets team playing in the Southern Vets Football League. The club itself is 40 years old last year. So, we're just carrying on. It's predominantly set up for junior football with circa 38 teams now in that club. And I'm one of two managers of two vet sides that are actually in that club now. So, yeah, more power to it.
Cool. Nice one. And Paul, aka Black Klopp, how you doing, sir?
Not bad. How are you?
To anyone that doesn't know who you are, can you briefly give them exactly what you do?
Just a small part member of the independent machine under the guidance of Ray. Just helping out with a little bit of knowledge that I have. That's it, really.
Okay, cool. All right, well, let's kind of go into it, really. So, so today's show, we have Conor Washington coming on at 8:15, and then we have the master segment at 9:00, and then we're looking to end the show probably just after 9:30. So again, any kind of questions, comments, please get them in. Please like, subscribe, do all of the nice stuff. So, before Conor comes on, let's kind of just talk about general football news. Is there anything that anyone wants to actually? You know, let's kind of talk about the United game, United Spurs. Zach, let's kind of start with you as a United fan. How well did United play, or should I say, how poorly did Spurs play?
I think we all hopefully all you guys watched the game. It was a tense game for me as a Man United fan. This is a result we needed after the result from last week against City. They strolled past us. I mean, that was really poor. But sometimes you have to think to yourself, this is scripted. I mean, Ronaldo scoring a hat-trick, Tom Brady being there. It was a good game of football. It was tense. The goals were really good. I think the first goal from Ronaldo, little flick from Fred inside, Ronaldo peeled off deep. Dyer couldn't really go with him. He's in two minds there, and he had the space to sort of let off a shot. We all saw that beautiful goal. Second goal was a ball over the top from Matic. Don't know why Spurs were playing a high line at that sort of stage. They just equalised. And Sancho ran on. He's played onside and didn't even touch the ball, just played it square for Ronaldo to slot it home. And obviously the third goal was a goal from a corner, which Man United don't score. That's our second goal from a corner this season. In between that, Spurs scored a penalty, which was a clear handball. Just want to ask you guys, if you've seen the game, Tellez, should you just stand up? All this turning your back and thing. I think, and also I want to ask you guys, do you reckon professional players actually play for someone's hand? Because with VAR these days, it's really clear to you. We were discussing the other day, saying, do you think players actually aim for the hands of players? Because it seems to happen quite a lot. And I'm really disappointed with Tellez. He should have just stood up, taken it in the face if that's what it takes, And the second goal, what was the second goal from Spurs? I can't remember now. Maybe you guys can remind me. But the result is the most important thing. After seeing Arsenal today, I was hoping they would lose because it's a top four battle, just like Independent with their league. It's getting down to the crunch time now. I've seen the league table you showed me earlier, and the same with the top four, same with the relegation, same with the top two, Liverpool, Man City. This is how you want seasons to end. It's top draw, and everyone's enjoying it, and I hope it goes down to the wire.
And Nathan, actually talking about VAR, do you think? I don't know if you watched the Arsenal-Leicester game. Do you think that was a deliberate handball, or do you think it's a handball? And also the Newcastle-Chelsea game, why wasn't a penalty given?
Okay, so I've seen. I haven't seen the Leicester game. Okay, got to be honest about that one. I know it's a bit of an Arsene Wenger thing to say I didn't see it, but I haven't seen it. But I'm a Newcastle fan, so I've seen that. But with clarity, complete clarity, I'm going to say, in my opinion, it should have been a penalty kick. I can't see any reason why it wasn't a penalty kick. And I think that obviously there was another issue in the game with Havertz and the elbow on Dan Burn. I think the referee, I think they got that correct. I don't think it was a deliberate action, which is something that you're looking for. And I think that when you look at the replay as well, and I know it was checked by VAR, that one, the yellow card, the caution, and that was correct. And I know there's a lot of Newcastle United fans that are not very happy about the fact that there wasn't a red card for Havertz, in particular because he scored the winning goal in the game. But I think, I'm happy to stand here as a referee and as a Newcastle United fan and say, for me, that it was a correct decision to caution rather than dismiss. But again, totally unbiased, although people might agree or disagree. For me, it ticks all the boxes for a penalty kick with a foul from Trevor Chalobah on Jacob Murphy. For me, absolutely clear penalty kick. And it's a little bit disappointing that a colleague, albeit a much higher placed colleague, hasn't seen it the same way.
Yeah, and to be honest, I thought Newcastle were actually going to go down, and again, I've got to eat humble pie because they've literally got themselves out of the mire. So well done to Eddie Howe. Well done. I still don't think he's a great manager, but hey, that's another discussion. Paul and Lee, I would love to get everyone. Well, yeah, your opinion about what's kind of going on at Chelsea, like the kind of sanctions, and of course, I don't want this to be a political thing, but I mean, I would kind of literally love to kind of get your thoughts. I see Lee like smiling. I mean, again, hey, let's talk.
Yeah. I thought we were going to go a bit softer. I think we can't talk about Chelsea without talking about politics. But I was going to flip back very quickly first, though, to the Man United Tottenham game, and then maybe a referee thing. So the Man United Tottenham game for me, right, there was probably two bits of shine out. Is like Ronaldo for me cementing himself as like he's the best in my view. I know there's always the arguments around him and Messi and who's the greatest of all time and that, but the man just keeps coming back when everyone thinks he's down and out. And, a hat-trick against Tottenham is fantastic in my view. I'm a neutral, by the way. No, I've got no Premier Premier League pony in the show, right? So I'm a Millwall fan, so I'm not into football at the minute. But so Ronaldo, the greatest of all time. Secondly, though, Kane coming back, right? I think Kane looks superb in that match this weekend. I don't think Man United dealt with him in the best way. I know they didn't come away with a win, but he just seemed to be back on form, and he's back. And then the third point I was going to make away from that game, talk me through that goalkeeping calamity with Sanchez and Diaz in the Liverpool game, and should the ref done anything more there? It feels like he's got away with murder. But I know you can look at it both ways, but I thought be contentious. Yeah. But no, black clock will have you.
Go on then, Black.
We got the points, so
yeah.
Didn't need to punish him. The goal was the punishment, so
diplomatic.
Didn't need to punish him more. It was a funny thing that you said about politics and football and sport, because they've made it politics, so it's a bit different. My word for since the beginning is double standards. They knew where the money was coming from when he bought Chelsea, and they allowed it. Financial institutions made a lot of money off these rich Russians buying mansions in Kensington, and now they're all shouting from the rooftops. I find it not funny. I find it sort of very double standards, and there's a lot of social media coming out of Ukraine. Some that's not getting a lot of airtime, so to speak. There's a narrative that's going around, as the media likes to do, but there's people that have got different views on what's happening and not buying into the narrative that the main media would like you to go down. I feel sad for them. Not a Chelsea fan, but I feel sad for them because why did you let him buy it in the first place?
I just think I've got to say, guys. I mean, I'm supporting Newcastle, and we're getting a lot of criticism at the moment about Saudi Arabia. But one thing I will say is you'll have guys there who've had season tickets since the 60s, since the 70s, since the 80s. Okay, they've followed the club in the second division, in the first division. They've been everywhere. They've been across the world. They've been up and down the country. They've been so loyal. They don't choose who owns the football club, but they have made a commitment to that football club. They want to follow that football club till the day they die. And to put it on them, as a lot of people do, I think is totally below the belt. No football fan chooses who they own their football club. We had Mike Ashley. We didn't want him. Of course, we love what the opportunities that's bringing having ownership, which is great, and you embrace it after feeling like you've been left behind and threatened with relegation, actually being relegated more times in your history in a 14-year period than ever before. But what I will say is there was no choice behind that. Who the owner, Mike Ashley, chose to sell the club to was out of the hands of the 52,000 that go to St James's Park every week. So I think it's really, really important, okay, that we think the same about Chelsea as well. I think whatever it is, 40, 50,000 that they get, they're not going to choose who the next owner is when Mr. Abramovich leaves. They didn't choose to have him in the first place. It was sat uneasy to some people when he acquired the club. I imagine, although it probably won't be publicised, a lot of people would have actually given up season tickets and stopped following the club because of his acquisition of the football club. I think it was in 2003. So, I think it's just important to look at the wider context, because I think a lot of fans are forced to shoulder that burden of, well, your club's owners do this and your club's owners do that. But really, fans have no influence. They don't care. All they're bothered about is what happens on that green bit every other Saturday.
Okay. Well, fair point. Again, please like and subscribe. And again, as I've kind of said before, Conor's been waiting patiently in the green room. I know Paul Blackclop, you are going to disappear and probably go for
a quick
run.
Take care, everyone.
All right.
See you.
We will speak to you soon. So again, while one door closes, another one opens.
Hi guys.
Conor Washington, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you guys? It was a good debate. That I was right into that last couple of minutes there.
Actually, well, without talking about it too much, because again, I mean, what's your initial feeling about the kind of Chelsea situation?
Yeah, I sort of echo Nathan's thoughts there. To be honest, I think Gary Lineker made a good point that, and I've said it a lot of the time. Obviously, I've been at clubs that, obviously Charlton are a big example of that haven't been run great, to be honest. And there needs to be more stringent measures. The tests that they're doing aren't good enough, are they? There was the Leicester guy. Was it Shinawatra? Who was having problems as well with the way he acquired his wealth, and then obviously bought that football club. And whatever they're doing is not working. So then maybe an independent regulator or something along those lines needs to get hold of it and make sure these things can't happen. But yeah, I totally feel for the fans. I really do, because like Nathan was saying, they don't decide who buys a football club, do they? And should they be punished? I mean, it's a tough question, isn't it? But
it is what it is. It is what it is. But again, Conor Washington, thank you so much for that coming on. Again, we've been talking for a couple of weeks. I know I got a date wrong. I think, I think it was my bad. I thought you was going to come on next
last week.
Hey, It is what it is. Apologies, Conor. So for the people out there, could you please talk us through your journey into football?
So I'm probably not the usual route, I'd imagine. Never been part of an academy. Didn't turn professional until I was 20. Was playing non-league. I think it was step 10 at the time for St Ives Town. 16, 17. Just hit the ground running, really. Just started to really enjoy my football. Went to university for a year and was sort of coming back from Nottingham to play for St Ives. And yeah, like I say, just got into a really good group. We had a really successful couple of seasons there, and I think I was 19, turning 20, just scored a hatful of goals, really. Met my current agent, who came to watch me. Was it Newport Pagnell away? It was the game. He signed me, and he knew Justin Edinburgh personally, and he just said, "Listen, I've got a kid, 20 years old, playing non-league, scoring a load of goals. Do you want to take a gamble on him?" And thankfully he did. And from Newport, played there for about 18 months, went to Peterborough, moved on to QPR, Sheffield United, Hearts, and now Charlton, which is where I currently am now.
Wow. Oh, amazing. And your kind of international career, how did that come about?
So I was actually eligible to play for Scotland, obviously Northern Ireland as well, and obviously England. So we knew that. With my agent, we spoke about that, and we got in contact with Northern Ireland when I was at Peterborough, just coming into a good bit of form. And they liked what they saw. Obviously, the pool of players isn't enormous. There's quite a lot of sort of English-speaking lads, if you like. But just managed to not get lucky, I guess, but hit the ground running there. Got in the Euro squad, and I think I've made about 35 appearances. So yeah, it's a real proud achievement of mine, and I think those memories will be the ones at the end of my career I sort of cherish the most.
Yeah, love that. Round of applause. Come on.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Round of applause. So again, if it's any questions that you guys would love to ask Conor, please put it in the message box, and I will let you fire them to him. But the first question, I would like Lee to actually fire across to Conor.
Yeah, actually, I do a bit of research kind of before on your career, etc. But I mean, I wrote 3 questions down, but I picked the middle one out because I just want to get your thoughts. So setbacks. So when I looked at, and by the way, I couldn't find a Conor Washington website. So this is all Wikipedia, right? So
yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. So realistically, how did you deal with some of the setbacks that you've had throughout your career? I mean, I've written down 3 bits. So the QPR contract, leaving Sheffield United, and then the injury you had at Hearts, because obviously that must have been immense going to Hearts and then having an injury so soon after joining them, etc., just before COVID. But yeah, setbacks in general. How have you dealt with those mentally and got through it and end up where you are today?
Up until I was about 27, terribly, I would say. I dealt with them. the first setback I had was at Newport, to be honest. The jump was huge. I was miles off it. I wasn't even close to being the standard required fitness, sort of physically, mentally, technically. I was just miles off the level, to be honest. And I remember played the first 6 months. I think I signed in the November, so we got promoted. Wasn't in the squad. Was in the stand at Wembley. And I remember speaking to my mum, and I just said, I've got 1 year left. I'm just going to give it everything, and whatever may be, will be, sort of thing. So I think that attitude really helped me. Went back with no fears, played my natural game. Obviously, physically, I got a lot fitter anyway with the pre-season under my belt, and managed to sort of hit the heights that I knew I was capable of hitting. The QPR one was a tough one. That was a real tough one. Mentally, that it hit me hard, and it was something that it took me a long time to recover from, to be honest, because it was such a big move. Obviously, the figures are out there for everyone to see of the finances and stuff. So there was a lot of pressure on that. Charlie Austin had just left, obviously one of the club's greatest goal scorers. He's back there now scoring goals. I just come off the back of a real hot run at Peterborough, and I just wanted to get stuck in straight away. But they wanted to sort of blood me in slowly, and just never got going, really. Played out of position a lot, played in a team that wasn't creating much, wasn't a particularly successful team. It was a club in transition as well, I'd say. So wrong club, wrong time for me. Just never really got going, and that did take a while. The Sheffield United one I sort of knew was coming, but that period of my life is probably the one I'm actually most proud of. Not just to be part of the squad that obviously got promoted to the Premier League, but Chris Wilder gave me such glowing references to the clubs I've been speaking to, because I wasn't involved in a lot of the squads, especially towards the end of the season. And I just remember thinking that the only person that I'm affecting day in, day out is my own career at the end of the day. So if I applied myself off the pitch, on the pitch, every single day, trying to learn off these guys, trying to be a part of it, and it was not vindication, because that's obviously not why you do things like that. But I think to hear how highly Chris Wilder spoke of me was a real sort of pat on the back for that attitude, and that's something I've tried to carry into the rest of my career, to be honest. It's really benefited me. And finally going on to the Hearts one, it was a huge setback. I'd never really been injured for more than a couple of weeks, to be honest. Get to that age now where I'm starting to pick up a few more here and there, but I didn't really know how to deal with it, to be honest. It was a lot of the things, even like the muscle atrophy, watching my sort of leg waste away for a couple of months before I could get things going was a tough one. And when I came back, I was miles off it fitness wise as well, which I was really surprised at because of how hard I've been working. But I mean, when you look at my career on a Wikipedia page, it looks like it's just gone like this, obviously. But there's plenty of setbacks on the way. But to not, I don't want to sound too cliche, but obviously these are the things that mould you and make you into the person you are today. So have I got any regrets? Probably not, to be honest. And I'm glad I experienced all those things. So
love that. And Nathan would love to get your question.
Yeah, well, look, I'm gonna be probably a bit of a one for the you have to talk about them, but I'm a referee and I work with referees, so I'm going to ask a slightly refereeing-based question in respect to the fact that I would call 3 different environments in terms of the English FA you've played with the referees in, you've had the Scottish FA with the referees, and obviously FIFA referees in terms of when you represent Northern Ireland. Do you find it different and difficult in terms of what you could get away with? Difficult to adapt, or did you notice real differences in terms of what you were able to get away with and the way you were able to sort of manage yourself on the pitch in terms of what was being penalised and what wasn't? I'm thinking particularly penalties and sort of physical situations with defenders and things like that.
Yeah, massively, to be honest. The international one is England and Scotland, probably not so much. They might let a little bit more go in Scotland, I would say. But the international one's huge. Obviously, being the size I am, I'm not the tallest. So any time that I can not have physical contact is probably better for me. So when the defenders are coming through the back of you, League One, Championship, Scotland, you don't get many of them. But at international level, there's sort of like that instant respect, not respect, but they know that if they come through the back of you, it's a foul, no matter what. Little touch, light touch, no touch a lot of the time. You just can't you can't do that. But it's also on the other hand, little nudges and when the ball's in the air, trying to put the defenders off are obviously penalised as well. So yeah, it definitely does take a lot of management in terms of what you can and can't get away with at that level.
And have you ever conned the referee in terms of getting a foul or getting a penalty? Come on, we're all friends here.
Yeah, I used to throw him in all the time. Not so much anymore, actually. When I first went to Peterborough, I won a lot of penalties actually, twisting and turning and any sort of contact because I'm fast. So when you're moving at a half decent speed, little contacts do knock you off balance and stuff. But yeah, I made a meal of a lot of those, to be honest, and I'd be amazed if lads said they didn't. To be fair.
Did it make a real difference, Conor, when the FA told you that basically if you were caught diving that you would get a 2-game ban? Did that make a difference to not just yourself as a striker, but also maybe colleagues in other teams and teammates and things like that?
Yeah, I've played with a few that I think would have definitely had to sort of heed that. I would put on record right now that I've actually never dived without contact. Making the most of contact obviously is a different matter, but it's just not really been in my nature the way I've played the game growing up to do that. I'd rather have the ball, if I'm honest. But yeah, there's definitely some people, but the rules change all the time, don't they? I know that's one specific one, but I mean, I had a handball on the weekend that I actually didn't know the rule. I actually scored on the weekend, 90th minute equaliser, and I thought it was shirt sleeve, but I don't know what the rule is now. But it was sort of top of the shoulder, shirt sleeve. There was a foul for it, so I wasn't really sure, to be honest. But I think it's a tough one for referees. We have them come in every year with these new rules, and you think, do we really need to be changing it that much?
Yeah.
But
do you find that informative?
Yeah, they're informative in terms of obviously what's changed, but a lot of the time it just becomes even more convoluted, especially the handball one. I don't think anyone really knows now, do they?
Yeah.
Some high-profile ones. Was there one was it Man City?
Yeah,
was it
it
Man
was
City?
Man City.
Yeah, there was one that was quite clearly, in my head, it's quite clear, but obviously the rules are different. So,
Zach, would love to get your question.
Yeah, big up Conor, man. Do you know what I say? Like, I want you to be as boastful as possible. You're maximizing. No, for real. You are maximizing your potential right now. Your CV is magnificent. International caps, that just says it all, man. So big up to you. I want to ask you a couple of questions, right? Because to be fair, you said you already told us you're 5'10", you're quick. But I want you to tell us about your game. Like, plug yourself. Tell me, like, if you're selling yourself now, what's your game about? And also, I want you to tell me, with the it used to be 4-4-2. When I was growing up, it's 4-4-2, big man, little man, that kind of thing. You're 5'10", you're in between. So, what system suits you? How do you get the best out of Conor Washington? Do you play one up front with the two wide men, which seems to be the thing right now, or do you see yourself in a 4-4-2 with a big man, someone to play off? I mean, how do you get the best out of your game? So, what's your attributes? What have you got, and what system suits your game the best? Do you reckon?
Well, first of all, thank you for the extra inch because I'm only 5'9", but I'll take 5'10". I need those inches anywhere I can get them. So, if anyone,
you're writing in Wikipedia, aren't you? You're writing in there.
That'll be 5'11". 5'11" minimum. Attributes, I genuinely, at this level, maybe even the level above, I don't think there's many better off the shoulder, making movements in behind. That's my game. I love it. If you can leave me on the last line, I'll get in. I'll get chances. Obviously, I'm quick. Good finisher. Link up plays good. It's something I've obviously worked on. I've had to work on my game my whole career, coming into the game the way I have, and I think my improvement from being 20 to now is huge, and I genuinely still feel like there's more to come, to be honest. System wise, 2 up top for me. I think most strikers would be the same, to be honest, unless you're a big target man who loves crosses. Obviously, out and out wingers. But like you say, that when they're playing the 3, they're never wingers, are they? They're inside forwards or whatever you want to call them now. But yeah, so currently we play 3-5-2. Me, Jaden Stockley, big lump, very very good technically actually. But we know each other's strengths, which is a beautiful thing when you're in a partnership. He knows that he doesn't want to run in behind. He's not got the attributes, and obviously I've not got the attributes to be winning headers. So but he's clever with it as well. He gets me in a lot with good play and stuff. So I think we've got a really good record together. I think we've played together. We've only played together about 11 times this year started, but we've scored. One of us has scored in either 9 or 10 of those games. So it's a beautiful thing, and I really enjoy playing with him.
One more. What? So you're quick. You keep saying rapid, quick, all these words. But how quick? I mean, have you ever timed yourself, or when you're doing the drills, are you the quickest in the club? You know, and what sort of name a player out there that we might know that you'd say this guy's rapid? I couldn't get no change from him.
So meters per second wise, I've hit 10, like very close. Well, I've hit 10. Games I've hit 9.97, which is right up there with the guys at the top of the Premier League. Obviously, Carl Walker and people like Adama Traore are out in front there. And Traore is the quickest, to be fair to him. I remember playing against him. I think he was at Middlesbrough at the time, and Tony Pulis was the manager. And all I've got in my head from that game is Tony Pulis shouting, "Give it to Adama! Give it to Adama!" And they were just feeding him the ball relentlessly. And it's quite a tight pitch at Loftus Road as well. But yeah, long distances, he's stupidly quick. But the thing that amazed me most about him was the sharpness, the 5 yards. He'd square people up and he was just gone. Like, you couldn't catch him. And obviously he's a big guy as well. So even if you could get contact on him, you're not getting any change from him. But he's brilliant. He was great to watch.
Amazing. And
Thank you.
And I kind of got a question. You kind of spoke about at the beginning. It was a very unorthodox way into football, and you went to university, which is, I'm not going to say it's unheard of, but if you're looking to pursue that elite career, like a lot of the players are from academies. So was it something that you wasn't seen by any academies? And can also, when that you was at university, what was your chain of thought like? Were you kind of looking to kind of go into that profession that you was studying in?
So I think where I lived, there wasn't a great catchment area for football. I lived in St Ives, which is in between Cambridge and Peterborough. There's nothing there really. You got Cambridge. Cambridge was half an hour. Peterborough was half an hour. Norwich was 2 hours. So I had trials at all of these clubs, all three, but just never. I was even smaller than I am now. I didn't develop physically until later. So I had failed trials at all of them. And then university, I was actually doing business management, and it was the most boring degree you could possibly do. I hated it. I just did it because I did well at A level. And I thought, 18, got no idea what I want to do with myself. I'll go to uni like everyone else does at that age. So I actually only completed my first year. And then in the summer, I just said, you know what, I don't want to do it. My brother's in the Air Force, so I was going to go back. I was going to go and apply to do that. Had to resit an exam or two to make sure I had the grades to go in straight as an officer. And then football just happened sort of in the background, really. I never thought I would be a professional footballer. I was never the best at my age group, any age group, really. Even up until I was probably 17, 18 was when I started sort of probably really believing in myself. It was one of those where everything sort of comes to a head. Physically, I got a lot better, believed in myself, was in a good team, blah, blah, blah. And obviously, as a striker, you need all those things. So I'm actually doing a degree now, funnily enough, 3 years into a sports science degree. So it's good to combine it, to be honest. I've got a lot of distractions outside of football as it is with my wife and my little man and stuff. But the uni stuff's good. It gives me something to focus on.
Love that. Lee, I would love to get your next question.
Oh, he's spoken about all of the questions I've written down, but there was one thing I looked at just before we came on, and that was your goal at Parkhead against Celtic.
Good penalty, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. But forgetting the method of the goal, but more around just the atmosphere of playing, Celtic in that atmosphere and what that felt like to you, because it's legendary for its atmosphere. We just want to get your views on it.
Yeah, brilliant. It was fantastic. The result was terrible. I had a couple of bad results there actually, but yeah, what an occasion. I was lucky enough. I've scored there. Scored at St James's Park as well, which was very, very close to that in terms of atmosphere. Those two are probably right up there with the best, or the Ukraine game in the Euros, which was, I think it was at Lyon's ground, which was atmosphere-wise was unbelievable. So all three of those, right up there. But Celtic was a good one. And I think there's a good still photo of me actually laughing as I scored that goal because of how bad the penalty was and how lucky it was that it came straight back to me.
Oh dear. But I mean, again, I don't want to. Okay, so everyone knows how the league in like Scotland is really. I mean, is the gulf actually that big between Rangers, Celtic, or at the time when Celtic were just dominating? Were like everyone else just literally playing for second and third place?
Yeah, massively. Genuinely, it's as simple as that. There's no. I don't think anyone would have broken up that. Obviously, since Rangers were out of the league, really. But even then, like you say, it was just second and third. Nobody was getting close to them. So it's they're like, I would say. Obviously, I played against a couple of Premier League teams, and I would say they're not. It's hard, obviously, to take those games in isolation, but they'd be Premier League standard, I'd imagine, from the games that I played against them. And then there's a funny old league because there's such an array of styles and obviously the actual standard of the football and everything. But it was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed it up there, and it was good. I actually didn't manage to play at Ibrox, but there's some great atmospheres up there. The Edinburgh Derby was one of those. Was a great one as well.
Amazing. And Nathan, would love to get your next question.
Yeah, no, I was just, to be honest, it was one of those things that, we talked about tough times with Lee, obviously, at the start and talking about setbacks and things like that. But one of the things that I was really sort of analysing from what you said was, I think you said something like you really struggled up to being sort of 27. And, as I explained at the beginning, I don't know if you heard that, Conor, but, I work a lot with referees around sort of mental toughness, resilience, mental health and well-being and mental preparation. Is that something that you've, working with sports psychologists at various clubs or even privately away from the club? Is that something that you've done and that has improved you? Because obviously, you alluded to the fact that there was a change around that period. And now as you come into the sort of peak of your career, things don't seem to be as big a challenge for you. I know obviously everybody has challenges throughout the career and things like that, but it seems to maybe not, you can take the rough with the smooth a little bit more. So was there a change or something happened there that allowed you to have more of a freedom and an enjoyment around your football?
Yeah, I've dabbled in everything, to be honest. It's one of those where I've always sort of been searching anywhere I can to find not the magic formula, but where can I improve? How can I improve? What's out there now? Sports science, like I said, gym stuff, nutrition, psychology, anything that can take me to the next level, because that's ultimately obviously where I want to get. I think the biggest thing that I don't want to look back on my career and sort of feel like I left a stone unturned, if you like. I want to maximize my potential. That's exactly what I want to do. I know we spoke about that earlier. I think getting to this age, sort of 27, 28, 29, a lot of it was obviously my family life's very settled. I got a 4-year-old, my wife, we're settled where we are. I just feel very comfortable in my own skin, I think. And the way I came into the game, as much as it was a help, it was also probably a slight hindrance as well, because I always felt like I was having to prove myself. Even after I'd played 100 championship games, I felt, what do these lads think of me? Do these lads think I'm just a non-league player that's got lucky and got all this way? I'm an international player, but I think most people in all professions have that sort of, it's imposter syndrome, isn't it? Do I deserve to be here, sort of thing? And I think until the last couple of years, I probably felt that. Not that I don't feel it now, but not to the extent that I probably used to. And yeah, I think feeling comfortable in my own skin and knowing that it's my career, and as long as I'm happy with it, it doesn't really matter, then it's been a real big shift in my sort of mental state.
Cool. And we've got a question from Coach Amit. Thank you for watching. To you, Conor, what has Conor's experiences been being with managers been like, and is there anyone that stuck out in a positive way? Again, yeah, coaches, managers, etc. And if so, why?
Yeah, good question. I had a lot of managers, to be fair. Justin Edinburgh was obviously my first one. He was fantastic. He was brilliant. Great manager. Tactically, didn't do anything fancy. It was very much just, I think we played a couple of formations, but there was nothing it wasn't loads of coaching, loads of shape, loads of this. It was very much put his arm around you, made you feel brilliant about yourself. And you were willing to run through brick walls from him, from his own sort of charisma and passion, sort of rubbed off on everybody. So he was a real positive for me. Graham Wesley was great for me. He's got a bit of a varied reputation among a lot of the lads, to be fair. But yeah, he was great for me. Took a real interest in my life and made similar sort of thing. He challenged me. He made me feel great, but he challenged me in the same way. I'd only scored one in a certain amount, 15 games maybe, and he came in through the door and said, "How is a player as good as you only done that? I don't understand." And it just got me thinking about my own game, other people's games, and so that was he was a real big part of why I went on such a good run at Peterborough, and obviously ended up getting my move. Chris Wilder was brilliant tactically, and his assistant Alan Neal. They were great to play under, obviously really successful, and they're doing their thing now again at Middlesbrough. Fantastic turnaround. But just that northern grit, nothing fancy, really clear messages, but good motivators and good people to be around as well. And then on the international stage, obviously Michael O'Neill, the success he had was sort of unmatched, especially over the last sort of 30, 40 years. And tactically he was very good, and a lot of international, especially the home nations, sort of get sucked into being an international team, if you like, and they feel like they have to play out from the back, they have to be seen to be doing all these things, that whereas Michael was brilliant at, this is what we're good at, we're going to run all over teams are not going to know what has hit them, they're all trying to play short passes and stuff, and we're just crash bang wallop, counter attack, in through the back door, set pieces. Which was great, and man manager, he was great as well. So yeah, I've been lucky enough to work under some great managers, and the thing I always point to would be the human element of it. Yeah, you can have all the ideas in the world, anyone can pass I say anyone, you need a lot of money to pass the UEFA A now, but and the pro license and stuff, but to be a really good manager, Guardiola, Klopp, like the relationships they have with their players is unmatched, I think. Klopp's the greatest example for me. I mean, the videos of him picking up Harvey Elliott when he's first back from training, breaking his ankle and swinging him round and stuff. They're the things that people remember, and they're the managers that everybody wants to play for.
Yeah, facts. And again, I'm a Liverpool fan as well, and again, like Klopp has been a breath of fresh air, absolute breath of fresh air. Sorry, Zach. I know you're a United fan and you don't want to be hearing.
I know. I totally agree. Top man, I'd love to play for him. He's the man.
Conor, can I ask you a question about Justin Edinburgh? It always seems to me as if he would have been probably a great manager for you. I know he was, but in terms of the fact that he started out in non-league and came through the levels with different clubs and got to a really good place. Did you think he could manage at Premier League level eventually? Do you think he could have gone all the way if he'd obviously, unfortunately, not lost his life?
Yeah, I think so. I genuinely do. I think he was still a very young manager in terms of he'd had the Newport job. I think he'd had a couple in between before he had Orient. Did he go somewhere else before then? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I think I always compare those managers that are sort of early 40s. We've got it a little bit at Charlton now with Johnny Jackson. It's his first job, and if the abuse that gets levelled at them is incredible, because you wouldn't level that abuse at an 18-year-old footballer. Well, some people would, and that does happen. But these people need time. You can't just go into a job and be instantly successful, because that's not how life works, is it? Nobody does that.
We need to say the same about referees, Conor.
I'm actually all right with referees, to be fair. I do it now and then, but No, I tried to keep them on side, to be honest. But yeah, I genuinely, going back to it, I genuinely think he could have. Obviously, I only played with him for about 18 months, and obviously, I would imagine he was just adding things into the armory constantly with the experiences he was going through, like we do as players. And the success he had at Orion was absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I've got no doubt that he could have gone on to do really great things, which is obviously such a shame.
Yeah, big shame. Zach, would love to get your question.
Yeah, you know what? It's a freestyle thing. I'm just listening to you, man, and you come across as a model pro, and I think you're 29 years old, and I think a lot of players waste their career because you can have all the ability, but the maturity that you have at 29 years old, you're married, you settled down, and all these things. I think that Ferguson was a great manager, and he would not only scout a player, but he'd look at the player's background and say, you know, how settled are they? How mature are they? And you're coming over really well. So would you say, does it help with recruitment? Did people like pry into your life and say, you know, like you were saying about Chris Wilder was endorsing you? Would he be selling you on by saying, yeah, he's a settled guy, he won't be going out nightclubbing and, you know, all this crazy thing that you see a lot of footballers do? And what would you advise like young players? Because and do they have any sort of systems in place to advise you? Have you learned it yourself? Is it you've got a parent that's backed you and supported you? And do you see players as well like going down the wrong roads? Do you pull them up and say, "Come on, man, settle down and get yourself together"? Because the career is kind of short, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. If I'm honest, I'm just lucky. I'm just a boring fella in general. I like staying at home and doing these things. But I also think I was very lucky that I got 17, 18, even 19, really. But obviously, I was at uni. I was going crazy doing those things. So I already had that 3 years or so where I had it out of my system, whereas players coming through don't get that. They don't even get anything close to that. So then you can tell that lads that are 22 are so different to I was when I was 22, because I'd moved out, I'd gone to uni. I felt so much more mature at 22 than lads that had come through academies, because they'd never had the chance to go out and do these things and grow, because you just get things handed to you on a plate. It's ridiculous now. So I think about some of the things that happen on a day-to-day basis of football, and to get food cooked for you, your kit's laid out for you. Like, it's almost embarrassing to a certain extent, like how much we get done for us, and we still have the audacity to moan a lot of the time. But in terms of recruitment, yeah, I would say that if clubs aren't doing their due diligence in terms of that, then they're missing a trick massively, because it's so important. Because the level, like, obviously you take out the top 5 Prem teams, and then from like the middle of the champ to the middle of the Prem, the standard of player won't vary that much. Like, there's not much in it. Even from being a professional League 2 player, I've seen players at League 2 that have got all the ability in the world, and for whatever reason haven't made it. And I've played against players that have played in the Premier League, and you're like, well, he's not out of this world. Like, he does everything well, but so the differences are usually that minute. And to get a good group together, like for example we had at Sheffield United, it's so important to get the right characters in. And I think that was arguably Chris Wilder and the recruitment team's biggest strength, that in terms of being a manager, was getting that group together of characters that would run through brick walls for each other, similar interests, willing to die out on the pitch, basically, to get that victory. And it's something that the players don't realise, I think. I mean, I'm not a massively old player now. I'm 29, but I've been around the game long enough now that people will ring me and ask, what's he like? Or I've been with a sports scientist who's at another club now, and they'll say, oh, we're looking at this player. What do you think of him? What's he like in training? So this happens a lot, so especially with managers, obviously coaches. Speaking to the coaches at Charlton, they're saying, especially towards the end of the season now, the recruitment coming up, they're getting asked all the time, what's he like? What's he like? What's he like around the training ground? What's he like with the staff? What's he like with the young boys? So in terms of advice, another cliche, but you've got to treat everyone with respect, because these people are there to facilitate you getting better at the end of the day, which I think a lot of players don't understand. They think the sports scientist there is to collect their urine in the morning and bring them bottles of water. It's just not the case. Like, they're there to make you better. And if you don't want to do that, they shouldn't be dragging you into a gym and making you do things. You should have that drive yourself, and they're just there to help you along the way, really.
Yeah, love that. And you've mentioned a few times how like strong your kind of family unit is. How tough are the away games? Yeah, I would just love to kind of get your point of view, of like everything that kind of goes on. Let's say that you're playing in Middlesbrough. Like how like tough is is that build up to that?
Yeah, it is tough. On a positive note, you do get a good night's sleep the night before the game, which all the lads do enjoy that. But there's been some times where I've been on away trips and it's been stressful. Like I signed for Hearts. My wife was in Sheffield with the little man. I think he was about 18 months old, and he got, I think it was bronchitis, and I had to fly back. I was supposed to be on pre-season. I had to fly back, and we were in the hospital for a couple of nights, and then I had to fly back up. And then my wife was trying to give him an inhaler on our own and stuff. So my mum had to come up and help her with that. So in terms of stuff like that, it is tough when things like that are going on. And obviously the little man's 4 now, so he's FaceTiming me saying, "Where are you? I miss you," and all of this sort of thing. So yeah, it is tough. It's one of those things that as a footballer, obviously you get on with because you realise the privileged position you're in. But yeah, there's certainly drawbacks to it.
Yeah. And Lee, your last question or comment for Conor?
Yeah, I'm just it probably plays into a little bit what Zach was saying around how, Charlton as a club company use you, Conor, in terms of, helping sort of like the youth players through, or if there's anything wider outside of the immediate Charlton structure that you do in the community or with other clubs outside of Charlton to help them develop their players in the best way that they can. Whether or not that's something you currently do.
Yeah, so I'm actually the education ambassador for Charlton. So it's been a nightmare with COVID since I've been here, to be honest, the whole 2 years, which has been a real shame that I've not been able to get into schools and do, because that's what I probably at the minute was where I'd like to take it, PE teaching, something along those routes. I'm not sure I'd like to stay in football, but I think the support structures are getting better, but a lot of the time the generation gap is massive. And I have this conversation with people. I don't know if these 18-year-old lads want to listen to me. And I don't know if I don't know if it's a shyness, if it's obviously like 10 years is a long time. It was a long time ago. I was 18 now, as much as I don't like to admit that. So obviously a lot of lads probably don't even know that I've had the career that I've had. I just play for Charlton, and they just, because the lads aren't really that interested in football anymore, from what I find. Not to the extent that I was. I knew everything about everyone, and a lot of my age group's the same, to be honest. But anybody that comes to me, obviously, I'm more than happy to help, because I've been through the ringer, if you like, as every player has been. I'd be amazed to find a player that hasn't been on the end of something ridiculous in football. So I'd be more than willing to help anybody that would ever come to me. But I also don't feel like an old man. I don't feel like an old person that should be imparting that sort of wisdom. And also, I think probably that imposter syndrome as well. Like I say, do these lads really want to listen to me? I'm not really sure. But there's probably been a few along the way that I've helped. Just trying to recognise the signs in people that maybe you had in yourself, where the training performance dips, you're quiet around the place and stuff. Maybe they just need me to be taken aside and pepped up, if you like, and being told how great they are.
Yeah, love that.
No, thanks, Conor. Appreciate it.
And Nathan, would love to get your last question.
Yeah, I want to ask about something, and I must admit I don't know the full circumstances around it, but I want to ask you about Nigel Atkins, because I really, really like what I see of him. I love a lot of the sort of social media stuff that he does. I think he's a really positive. He comes across as a really positive person. When he talks about, he uses a lot of quotes. I don't know whether he uses them with the players, but he uses a lot of quotes. Talks about real positivity, making the most of the day, and things like that. And when I look at his career, obviously, I know that he was, I think he was a physiotherapist, and then he went into management with Scunthorpe and Southampton. He took those clubs on. I don't think Scunthorpe have been in the Championship since he was there as a manager. And I think, obviously, Southampton are where they are today because of him. He seems like he's done a really good job. And I know it didn't quite work out for him at Charlton, but what was he like as a manager?
Yeah, it's exactly exactly how he is on social media, to be honest. I'm not sure what he does at home, if he beats his head against a wall or anything, but he's he's fantastic to be around. He's a fountain of knowledge, like you say. He's always reading something. He's always improving himself. He's always looking to improve, which I think is really important for a manager. It is a shame it didn't work out. I think we're in a sort of transitional period at Charlton, to be honest, with everything that's gone on with the ownership and them trying to steady the ship, if you like, big player turnovers and things like that. And it was a difficult summer with recruitment. Happened quite late for us and things like that. So, yeah, he was great to be around. You can see why people buy it. You need a buy-in, obviously, as any manager, but especially with somebody that's putting themselves out there like that. You need a real buy-in. But yeah, I really enjoyed his company. We had our differences, obviously. I wasn't playing the position I liked, but as a person, I thought he was fantastic and he had good ideas. And like you said, it was just a shame it didn't work out in the end.
And Zach, your last question or comment?
Yeah, man, big. I've really enjoyed this. Last question from me. I just want to ask you, like, you're playing for Charlton right now. For me, Charlton were a Premiership club at one point under Curvishley and all that. And do you think they can return back to the big time? And what's it going to take for them to get back? Apart from feeding you to score goals, what would it be? Obviously, I'm near QPR, and I think QPR deserve to be in the Prem as well. They were always in there, but obviously they had Les Ferdinand, a player that's been brought up through the ranks. Are there any other young gems coming through that you want to name and big up now through because South East London is a good pool of talent pool. So yeah, what's it going to take for Charlton to get back to the big time? And do you think they're capable of doing it? Are they still a big club?
Yeah, the infrastructure's all here. I think it's been poorly run, obviously. It's been well documented how poorly it was run. The player turnover is too big, in my opinion. Every season, you look at the teams that get out of this level. Rotherham's, your Wickhams, they might not play the most attractive football, but more often than not, they've got a very similar core of players that have played with each other. They know what they're doing. They're consistent with the managers. And they just do the same things over and over again. Good habits. Since I've been here, I've played with a silly amount of players. Just the nature of, obviously, around COVID, the recruitment and things like that, it's been tough. But under the new owner, the club seems to be moving in the right direction. They're putting things in place. They're trying to get the Category 1 youth system and things like this. So the club seems like it's in good hands. And as players, obviously, we need to take responsibility for what's gone on this year. It's not been good enough at the end of the day. No matter who's on the pitch, we as a group of players, we need to do better. But yeah, I genuinely don't see why not, because the fans are absolutely brilliant. The fan base is huge. The stadium's great. The atmosphere is fantastic. Obviously, we're not quite filling it out being in League One, but I'm pretty sure they did in the Champ, and obviously they would in the Premier League. Everyone wants to get in the Premier League, don't they? Like you say, QPR, obviously they're right up there now. Good result today, this afternoon. And yeah, that's the dream for everyone, isn't it? But I think having that infrastructure in place, having the right people, and in terms of gems, obviously we've got Mason Burstow got signed by Chelsea. He got loaned back to us. I'd expect him to have a really good career in the game. His attitude's fantastic. Burstow. Mason Burstow, yeah.
Burstow. Okay.
Yeah, and to be fair, the 23s and the 18s have been unbelievable. Some really good players coming through. It's always good when you see. I think they're winning the league. Is it the 23? I think the 18s are miles clear in their league, nice. Which is great to see. And they're constantly coming up and training with us. You can't believe how good some of these kids are. I had it with Abire Eze at QPR. He was frightening how good he was. He was making season pros, players that have played Premier League, international. He's making them look stupid. Like, he was that good. It was amazing to think that Millwall released him, and obviously the way he came into the game was brilliant as well. Yeah, it's great to see.
Dig.
Lee's that somewhere before. Yeah, great.
He's not a Millwall player, is he?
No.
But it's great, isn't it? His attitude, similar to Mason's, they've got that grit. I don't want to call it arrogance because it's got negative connotations, but they've just got that air of confidence about them at that age, and you think, like, fair play, like you're going to go on and do big things.
Yeah, nice. Love that. Conor, honestly, Another round of applause, man. Come on. Another round of applause.
Take a bow, man.
Yeah, honestly.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. I enjoyed that.
Honestly,
Thanks,
Conor,
Conor.
thank you so much. And you know what? Tell Jason that I'm after him. Tell
You don't want to be after him.
Actually, one more quick question. But out of defending, I mean, has like Jason spoke about how like he's had to change his game a little bit in terms of what like he can get away with?
He's a real student of the game. He loves it. We're constantly talking. Obviously, as a striker, he likes to bounce ideas off me of coaching drills and, like you say, his own game. He's great to have around the place. He's constantly looking to improve. Even at, I always say he's about 39. I think he's actually about 34. But yeah, he's great, especially for the young lads. He pulls people like Mason aside and he'll watch their clips and he'll say, this is what I think you can do better. Obviously, as a defender, it's really important to get that insight, because I'm saying, if I move here, what are you going to do? Because I don't know. It doesn't bother me what you're going to do, really. But to make my next movement, for example. But yeah, he's been great to have around the place, and obviously the way he plays is blood and thunder all the time. So I'm not sure if the international referees would be particularly happy with that, to be honest.
Oh, brilliant. Honestly, Conor, thank you so much for like coming on.
Thanks, guys.
And yeah, kind of wishing you the best, end of season and like upwards and onwards. So honestly, Conor, thank you so much.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Conor, you seized the day. I mean, you're a good example of that, bruv. I'm gonna follow your career from now. I'll be tweeting about you and sharing the show as well. Big up to you, bruv. You deserve all the best in the sport, and I hope you get up next season, get back in the championship, get yourself on TV, and start banging in them goals.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate that, mate. Top man.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Conor.
See you later.
What a guy. Conor Washington. Honestly, thank you so much. So hey, we will be heading into a break. Actually, I know Nathan and Nathan, I'm guessing that you'll be leaving in this break.
Yeah.
And Zach, you'll be leaving as well.
Unfortunately, yeah, I've got to leave. Yeah, but I usually stay on. I'm here for the long haul, but I've got some prior engagements. But yeah, that's brilliant. Top man. Your guy there.
And before you two go, Nathan, could you kind of tell everyone again exactly what you do and actually how like they can find you?
Yeah, okay. I'm the managing director of the third team, and we work predominantly with referees, but also with groups in education and in corporate workspaces as well, around things like mental toughness, resilience, mental health and well-being. And you can find us at the3rdteam.co.uk. We're really doing well now on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. And of course, we've got a YouTube channel as well. So we really love the engagement with the content we're getting. I write a weekly blog. We've done about 125, 130 editions of that now every Friday at 5:00. And you can sign up to the mailing list on the website, and just really enjoying working with referees at grassroots level, in the semi-professional game, in a professional game, in this country, in North America, in Australia and New Zealand, in Asia, and in mainland Europe as well. Now we've got such a great pool of officials that we're really working with and really helping, and we're getting good results. So really enjoying doing that, Tabriz.
Love that. And yeah, we'll be like we'll be interviewing you. Actually, we'll be dissecting your career next week. So yeah, I can't wait for that.
I really look forward to that, Tabriz.
And Zach, where can people find you?
I want in. I want to learn more about Nathan. You talk so well. Can I just ask how old you are, Nathan?
I'm 24.
Jeez!
Wow! Go! Such poise! Such poise, man! Jesus Christ! I want to interview you next week. I'm coming on the panel. Yeah, big up, man. Honestly, you come over really well, and big up what you're doing. I like the thing about mental health and asking people to be assertive. It's so important, because for young people as well, you need to be assertive and and that comes from experience. I think sometimes learning to do something and achievement, in my opinion. And also being a referee, you also need to be assertive as well. What they're doing. I see a lot of young referees struggling in that area. They might know the rules, everything else, but you need to have that kind of air, understand psychology of other people, everything else, to really sort of put your foot down sometimes. But yeah, I'm from the Man United Agenda. You can check us out on YouTube. I will be keeping in touch with everyone on here and asking you guys to come and appear on our show as well to talk football and all those things there. I really enjoyed today's show, Tabrice. It was fantastic. You always seem to get the best kind of guests on the show. I'm going to share this. I'm going to share the hell out of this. This is top drawer. And yeah, lovely to meet Conor. Lovely to meet you, Lee. Good luck for the rest of the season. And Nathan, I'll be tuning in next week, if not on the panel. Tabrice, sorry, big up, man. Enough respect to you.
Thank you so much. So we're going to take a quick 2-minute break, and then we'll be going into the vet segment. See you guys soon.
See you in a bit.
Okay, we are back. And again, please like and subscribe. Again, big shout out to like Conor Washington. Big shout out. And then we have Paul, aka Black Clock Black. I'm back now for the vet segment. Alrighty. Actually, before I begin, Lee, could you kind of talk us through what happened with Crayford Arrows yesterday? Did you guys play? What's your season looking like?
Yeah, Div 5, obviously not in the heady heights of you guys up in the seconds and that, but we played an already relegated side, AFC Green Court, beaten 4-0 at home. That means we've maintained our unbeaten record at home this season, which is great for us. We're 6 unbeaten now coming into the last 4 league games of the season. And it looks realistically like it's a 3-horse race for, I guess, the championship, even though I would say that we're probably outsiders. It's an outside of 4-horse race for promotion, I think, with perhaps us being more stronger than Sydenham. So, no, we played well. Took a while to get into the game, if I'm being brutally honest, against the team that we should have beaten anyway before the game started. We did beat them convincingly in the end, but it was 1-0 at half time, and we just managed to just get it over the line. It's just one of those days, really. It's just I don't know, maybe we were just a little bit too laid back going into the game. But 4-0, there's no poor result there. It's 3 points, clean sheet, and maintain the record at home. So yeah, it was good for us. But we've got a very difficult game coming up against Cudham next week. They've improved since their first division side folded. So there's a couple of players that have permeated down into the 5th, I think, which have strengthened them. And then we've got to play Aztec, who are second in the division, on the 26th of March, which for us will be the make or break game for the season. And then we have to hit it home if we do well against those. But yeah, 4-0 home victory.
Okay. And how many players do you kind of normally get to turn out every Saturday for you guys?
Yeah, generally I've just been weeks where I've turned players away, but mainly it's sort of 17, 18 players every week, which is for the size of our squad is relatively surprising. We've got 24 signed And we've got sort of 17 to 18 every week that want to show out. You know, like some of the squads that I see against some of these clubs, you know, they're into the 40s and 45s and 50 players in the squads, and so they've got a lot of depth in terms of where they can seek it from. We haven't, but fortunately enough, I've got a group of players that want to come every week and do their best for the club.
Oh, okay, amazing. And actually, well, let me kind of go straight into the results from Division 1 and Division 2. So results from Division 1. So it was a home win. So I believe the Fights have given Charcoal the points, even though of course that the game hasn't been played, but you know that's literally what's being put on the like results table. And then Metro Gas home win against Defiance, and then away win, I believe, Johnson and Phillips against Stansfield. So how the table looks, Charcoal are first, and I believe that they are league champions, so congratulations. LSU A second, Stansfield third, Glebe fourth, New Park fifth, Johnson and Phillips sixth, Metro Gas seventh, Defiance eighth, and Cudham, who are folded. So of course, you know, their like points have been taken away. And the fixtures for next week, Charcoal have Independent in the Beckenham Cup, and you know that's the only game that's going to go on next week. And then the week after, I believe, Glebe are facing New Park, and Metro Gas are facing Johnston and Phillips. So going into Division 2, Bow Street 3, Wallenham 6, Independent 1, LSU B 0, Leone Stars 3, Seagas 2, Sporting Santos 3, Catford Wanderers 0. And how the league is looking now: Independent are first, Sporting the second, Cray third, Wallenham fourth, Catford fifth, London South United B's sixth, Seagas seventh, Leone Stars eighth, Bow Street Runners ninth, and Norwood Lakers 10th. And the games for next week: Catford versus Bow Street, Cray versus Sporting Santos, and LSU B versus Norwood Lakers. So Black Clock, you wasn't at the game yesterday.
No, but I heard reports. It was always going to be a tough game against LSU B. They're a good organized team. We know each other very well. They know our strengths. We know their strengths. They know our weaknesses. We know their weaknesses. So it was always going to be a tough game. I heard, well, the scoreline shows it was, 1-0. It was one of those games, but the most important thing was that we got the W. As you can see from the table, it's going to be a grandstand finish. I'm sure the committee are very happy with what's going to happen in the second division at the end of the season, because if Sky got a free weekend, they need to come down and film some of those games, because it's up for grabs. It's been a very good season. It's been a really good season. I mean, Cray have come from nowhere. From the beginning of the season, we played them, and I really have to say I didn't put them in the mix. Didn't put them in the mix at all. But they've gone about their job slowly, quietly, gone about their job. And we knew about Santos. We know each other, friends. We knew about them, knew they were a good side. We knew they were going to be there or thereabouts. I backed LSU to be there and thereabouts. But they'll come again, without a doubt. They've got a pool of players, and they've got a very good network with Lloydie and Ben that can bring players in. So I next season, definitely they will be there or thereabouts. But Wallenham as well. Wallenham, good side, physical, good side. They might have a say in where it ends up. But it's looking interesting. It's looking interesting.
Yeah. And
nobody can afford to drop points. Wow.
Yeah, definitely. And I've got a question for both of you, and literally, Leah, I want you to answer it first. I mean, how important is it to literally have competitive leagues, as in league fixtures, even at this stage of the season? Like, how does that impact everyone's morale? I'd kind of just love to get your kind of opinion on that and answer.
I think it's great, but you don't get it every season. And when I was just flicking through the seasons as we were talking, the divisions as we were talking, there's so many leagues now where there's 3 or 4 horse races going into the sort of like the final 4 or 5 games of the season. If you can be involved in something like that, it's great. That's all we talk about as a team now. We know every we talk about it as being every game now between here to the end is a cup final, because we want to get promoted. I've been managing for 4 years now in this sort of stuff, and there's been a couple of really bad periods, right, where we couldn't even buy a point, in some seasons, right? And now we find ourselves in this mix where we've got an opportunity to go up. We can't afford to take our foot off the gas, but I know exactly that Swanscombe are thinking the same, and I know that Aztec and Sydenham are feeling the same. And I think it's great. I think it's great for the football, to be fair.
And Blacklock.
Yeah, I mean, our team is a little bit different. I can only speak about our club. It's a little bit different where our players just like play football. We've had situations coming at the end of the season where we've had, the weather hasn't been good in the middle of the season, and they've had games at the back of the season against teams. We've had against teams where they've got nothing to play for, and we're still going for promotion. And the league has made us, keep the fixture. And on the Thursday, the team has said, we'll give them the points. I mean, it's a bit, I mean, not everyone's got the focus and not everyone's got the desire at the, coming to the end of the season. They've got nothing to play for. Players start going on holiday and stuff like that. But I mean, these guys, I mean, if I was to say we've got a game tonight, could get 17 players out. I mean, they're just hungry for football, which is a good thing. That's why we get the numbers every Saturday. It's a good thing, and it helps. It helps when you're going for promotion. That helps as well.
Definitely. And both of you are part of your management structure respectively. I mean, I kind of always see it as a kind of poison chalice
behind you, Fabrice.
Sorry,
behind you.
So
Sky News.
So so I kind of always say being like part of a management team is a poison challenge, because if you make a sub and that person scores, it's all about the player. And then if you kind of make a mistake as a manager and you lose the game, then then all eyes are on you. I mean, literally. I mean, why did you guys want to become managers? I mean, in the first place, knowing that the pressures that's literally going to be on like you guys now, like running successful clubs. And I'll kind of start with Paul first.
My journey is a little bit different. Played vets football for quite a while. Was always interested in the organisation and setup of teams. Went to Peckham Town. Met a lot of the guys from Independent now. We've gone through three stages, and got the opportunity to manage the national team that Peckham put through, and we won the nationals. So got the taste for it. Was part of the management of that. So got a taste for it, and just went on from there. I like the organisation and trying to figure out how to beat a team. That's basically it, really. Just like to figure out how to beat a team, and sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. It's just, it doesn't define my life. It doesn't mean anything on a Monday morning at the bus stop, but it's football. I like it. Can't play anymore, so I'll take that on board.
Yeah. And Lee?
Yeah, well, very similar in terms of I can't play anymore. I don't think I could play in the first place. But I think in terms of being a manager, I'll be brutally honest, I didn't want to be one. It just got to a point where I was coming out the back end of playing in vets football, and a member of the club had organised the registration of another team to go in, and I found myself in the wrong place at the right time. And it's taken me sort of 4 4.5 seasons or so, just to get comfortable with it. Because I think the biggest challenges I saw right at the very beginning is trying to overpromise and underdeliver with the players. Right, when you get big squads of 17 and 18 turn up on a Saturday, and you feel obliged to give game time at times, right? These are people that turn up and give up their weekends, and they want to come out and they want to play as much as they can for the team. And I think in the early stages, I was giving a lot of emphasis on that game time, and that it didn't work for us. And some of that was around sort of some of the players' mentality. And I know the sort of like the last 3 or 4 seasons, it's been a bit of recruitment. There's different mindsets in there now where it's more of a squad mentality, but still to have fun, right? It's not there to, we're not challenging for like the Premier League or anything. No, we're in a 5th division, right? This is around getting a great bunch of people together that want to do the right thing as a squad and recognise sometimes that they might not get the game time that they might have been getting 2 or 3 seasons ago. So that's been the sort of biggest challenge for me. But I've sort of grown into it, I tried a model where you federate all the jobs out, so kit washing and all of that sort of stuff, and that sort of like boomeranged itself back to me now. But I'm sort of comfortable with it. I don't mind doing that stuff now because I've got my method of doing it. But back to the point there around trying to figure out how to beat another team, I think for me has been the big learning for me over the last 4 seasons, and like just trying to understand sort of. Even going to watch games when we're not playing some weeks, going to watch other teams just to try and unlock them and understand what they're all about. It feels a bit pointless sometimes when you're being rained on. But then when you're playing 2 weeks later and you pull the formation together and you do a job against them, it feels really good and the team feel great. So so there's pros and cons to it.
Yeah, and I've got another question from Coach Amit. Thank you for watching. And again, it's a question to both of you. And Paul, I'll start with you. What's your biggest strength and your biggest weakness?
Biggest strength is dedication. Dedication, as our learned friend said, sometimes going to watch other teams when you've got a free weekend. It's easier to sit at home and watch a Netflix, but going out and watching a team that you might have 3 weeks from now, and then getting that win, you realize that the groundwork that you did watching that game helped you instead of going into it cold. I mean, I don't watch everybody, but in the league, I definitely have watched teams this season in the league. Some teams that we know, so there's no point watching them. I just go because we know each other. But some teams I haven't known anything about, so I'll go and watch certain things that they do that will help us. Again, sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. Weakness sometimes could be my mouth. Kind of runs away sometimes, but it's all part of the game. But yeah, sometimes that runs away with me. But with the group of players that we have, we know each other. They understand that if you're ranting and raving, it's for a reason. It's not personal, it's for a reason. And if they're doing something good, you ain't going to get the rant. It's not just a rant for the sake of it. If I'm doing something good, I'm not going to get a rant. If I'm doing something bad, I'm going to get a rant. And sometimes I ring them in the weekday just to explain to them this was wrong, that was wrong, And I watch other teams on internet. I watch The Wall. Two good coaches there. I can't remember their names. The lady, the female, and the
Cyan.
Yeah, and the guy. I like how they get their message across. It's different type of football because we're vets and they're open age. But so I watch them. Also I watch SE Don's management team. They're good, and Lambeth All Stars. Obviously we know each other. They're the way they get there, just to see if there's something that I can tweak that maybe takes me 2 minutes to say that I can say in a minute, because sometimes at halftime the way you send the message sometimes is more important than the actual message. It's the delivery sometimes, just to get it into their head. So I would say strength is the dedication, and the weakness sometimes is my ranting. But yeah, we're top of the league, so it must be doing something for us anyway. It must be doing something.
And same question to you, Lee.
Yeah, I think like from a strength perspective, I've over the last 4 seasons, it's probably been learning. So it's listening to more people, even reading and watching stuff that I probably wouldn't have done sort of like before, right? Because playing's a lot easier than managing. I'm lucky enough to have sort of James Kuziapu in our team who runs Kamazi, and he gives me a little bit in the ear roll every week around sort of where I might want to think a little bit differently. We don't often
The vets team.
Yeah,
The vets team.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he plays for me, and we don't always sort of see eye to eye on the same things. But actually, there's plenty to learn from James and other people in the team. So yeah, learning and listening a lot more. Weakness-wise, it's probably the reverse of what Klopp's just said. Right? I don't think I rant enough. I don't think I'm horrible enough. There's been games where I think if I'd been more horrible at half time, we might have nicked the points rather than throw them away. But yeah, I think that's where my weakness stands.
Yeah. No, I've got a lot of time for like James. He's, like he does so much stuff for Kamazi and again he's, like he speaks very highly of you as well, Lee, as well. And he's like such a calming influence as well. When he speaks, you have to listen to what he says because like he doesn't just talk just like for the sake of talking. He talks with a purpose. So
we played them, didn't we? Didn't we play?
No,
did we play?
We haven't played. No, so this is Kamazi.
Kawunga. Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's Kamazi.
Yeah.
They're like based in the Orpington and Bromley League.
Okay.
Yeah. No, good. No, thank you. Hey guys, you know what? Show is done. And again, Lee, thank you. So much for like coming on. Hopefully you literally enjoyed it. I know again, actually love to kind of get you on again next week. Black Klopp, again, thank you for like coming on.
How much games you got left, Lee?
4 league games, and we're in the semi-final of the League Cup coming up.
Okay, well, good luck.
We're still biting it. And I was going to say all the best in the cup for the weekend, right? It's a massive game, massive.
Yeah, big game. So yeah, I mean, I think every game from like now is a kind of big game because of course it's I think both like teams are like in a very privileged and blessed position where we're not playing just to play, like we are now looking for honors. So every single game is a big game. So again, Lee, wishing Crayford Arrows all the best, and we have to sort out a friendly.
Yeah, I'll get it in the diary.
Oh dear, guys, thank you so much.
Take care.
So guys, thank you so much for like tuning in. We'll be back next week, same time. More like details will be coming out later. Thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you guys next week.